applause to Melissa Green, Anna Skates, and Wes Wakefield. And please make welcome the Executive Director of the Tennessee Human Rights Commission, Ms. Beverly Watts.
Good evening, everyone. Rising above the dust. Ooh, I'm ready, y'all. What y'all? Y'all ready? Well, let me just take a moment to say thank you all for being here. We have been celebrating International Human Rights Day here in Nashville for close to 20 years, 10 of which I've been involved in. And it is always, in my mind, a wonderful occasion where people of like minds come together over a document that's almost 70 years old. The UN has started its year-long celebration for human rights, moving toward 70th year, which will be December 2018. It was December 10, 1948. See, these numbers get you here, especially since some of us, as the document itself, okay? But the one thing I want to say about the document, who would think that a document that's close to 70 years old would be the beacon that we should follow? This document says that we have a right to be free from discrimination, to have decent housing, decent education, to have good health. Anything you can think about, it's in this document. It is really a document that does talk about, as human beings, what we're all entitled to. And it is that document that framed, really, the foundation for the civil rights laws in this country that we have today. So I tell people, back to the future. Because if we look at the document and we read the document and we understood and practiced it, we would not have the issues we have today. The theme for this next year is interesting as well. I think somebody must have been looking inside America. It's called Stand Up for Human Rights. Hashtag Stand Up for Human Rights. There is no better hashtag than that today. Hashtag Stands Up for Human Rights underscores the importance in the quest to promote dignity, fairness, and opportunity for all people. It is the one thing that if we agree on, every human being should be free from discrimination, should be respected, and should have a place and a space, whatever it looks like, that values them and their contributions. And that's a significant mountain to climb some days. But enough of me pontificating. On to the celebration, because this really is a celebration tonight. It is a recognition of the document itself and a celebration of people who have actually are living this document in their daily lives. And so we're going to do that. One of the things I get the pleasure of doing is I've done this for a while, and let me thank my colleagues and those who have helped to put this program together, and their names are on the front of the document: the Metro Human Relations Commission, United Nations Association, and Tennessee United for Human Rights, the Church of Scientology, and of course those at the Tennessee Human Rights Commission. We always have a great time putting this together annually. I'm pleased to introduce someone that I work with, and that is the chair of the Tennessee Human Rights Commission. Anna Houston has been our chair for 3 years now. Yeah, two and a half, going on 3, 2.5. And we are pleased to have her. She also was a commissioner in the state of Kentucky for a number of years, so I've had the privilege of knowing Anna for more years than we will talk about tonight. She is an advocate for human rights, and currently she is at the University of Tennessee in the Disability Rights Office doing the work that she has done. So Anna Houston, please welcome her to the podium.
Thank you. Beverly's indicated that this has gone on for 7 years, and I'm going to say that I was not here at the beginning. I joined you for, I think, the last 3 years, and I do appreciate that, and I'm happy to be here this evening to share a proclamation from the governor. And I'm actually just going to read it, because I can't ad-lib it. It says, the State of Tennessee Proclamation by the Governor. Whereas the United States plays a pivotal role in protecting human rights, And whereas respect for basic human rights is important in fostering human dignity and freedom, and whereas the state of Tennessee and the Tennessee Human Rights Commission are proud of their commitment to guarantee civil and human rights for all residents, and whereas numerous community, civil, religious, and nonprofit organizations work to ensure equal rights and protections for all individuals. Now, therefore, I, Bill Haslam, Governor of the State of Tennessee, do hereby proclaim December 10th, 2017 as Human Rights Day in Tennessee and encourage all citizens to join me in this worthy observance. Thank you.
Please make welcome the Executive Director of the Metro Human Relations Commission, Miss Melody Fowler Green.
Hi, everyone. I want to first start by taking the opportunity to thank our co-sponsors for this event. I have to tell you, it's a real joy planning with that group every year. And I want to thank my staff member, the Director of Community Engagement, Barbara Gunlardi, at the Metro Human Relations Commission. Barbara really takes on the bulk of the responsibility for the commission on this event, so we thank you very much, Barbara. And finally, I want to thank you all. I know that you have both personal and professional obligations competing for your attention, particularly this time of year. And for that reason, I think we are especially honored that you've chosen to spend your evening with us, both to talk about challenges that we face and to celebrate the folks in our community who inspire us. right? Not necessarily to be solved by government alone, but by us as a community. Eleanor Roosevelt, one of the key drafters of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and a personal hero of mine, she said that human rights begin in small places close to home. And the challenges we face seem daunting. And, well, they do because they are. They really are daunting. But I have real reason to be hopeful. I think here in Nashville, we might speak occasionally, perhaps a little too politely over our conflict. But what I do know is we do speak about them. And what we do is we do commit to working on them together. And I sincerely look forward to continue to do that work with all of you in the room. And with another very good friend of mine, someone who I take a great deal of inspiration from. It's my pleasure to introduce Phyllis Hildreth, Academic Director of Lipscomb's Institute for Conflict Management and the current chair of the Metro Human Relations Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mel. Good evening. It is indeed a great honor to stand behind this podium on this day in this room and to look out in this sea of people and think about the charge. I have been asked to read in pertinent part the declaration that was forwarded from the mayor of this great city. And so doing, and I'm sitting and I'm watching people walk in, person sitting behind me, sitting in front of me, I realize it is also very important to recognize that when we speak about human rights, we are so often speaking about women. We're talking about the women that make it happen, the women who hold up half the sky. So, on behalf of the woman who leads this city, and in honor of the mother women who have served this state in public office, and the sister women who till this soil, and even the daughter women. I have a student here who is going to be recognized later, and I will not steal her thunder, but yes, even the daughters are present. I will read from the declaration. Office of the Mayor, a proclamation recognizing Human Rights Day, December 7th, 2017. Whereas the General Assembly of the United Nations approved the Universal Declaration of Human Rights on December 10th, 1948, declaring that recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. And whereas numerous community, civic, religious, and nonprofit organizations, including the Amnesty International, Church of Scientology, Free for Life International, Metro Human Relations Commission, Tennessee Human Rights Commission, Tennessee United for Human Rights, United Nations Association, and others work to ensure equal rights and protections for all residents. And whereas the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County and the Metropolitan Human Relations Commission share this commitment of civil and human rights for all, now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Megan Berry, Mayor of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, do hereby recognize Thursday, December 7th, 2017, as Human Rights Day in Nashville, and encourage residents of Davidson County to join me in observing and celebrating this historic and important commemoration. Be it resolved. Thank you.
Our first award goes to a tireless advocate for human rights and equality. Please enjoy the video of 2017 Rising Advocate Award winner, Mr. Cairo Bashir.
We're working with UNICEF Congressional Action Team right now. The way I like to think about it is that, we may all feel like, we can't help, we can't, we don't have the money for it, we don't have the resources for them. But honestly, just given time, using the time, all of us have from time to time. Many that have money can contribute money, but we all have time. If you go back just to defining what human rights is, these are simply, the fundamental rights that we all humans have just simply because we are humans. There are millions of people around the world that still don't have many privileges and rights that we have, being in, I don't want to use first world countries, but, being in countries such as the United States and, many Western European countries. There are a lot of countries in Africa or Asia and things like that that just still don't have these rights. So I feel like trying to continue promoting human rights, goes back to the idea of promoting the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. You may not be able to change everybody around the world, but personally, if I can continue just doing what I do, and it starts from me. If I can continue human rights, maybe people could, bounce or understand my passion for human rights and maybe kind of respect that and kind of try to continue it themselves. So you could be a high school student, you could be a middle school student, a college student. Anybody has the ability to promote human rights. Beginning from the Human Rights Declaration to today, there has been many years and many progress that has been made, but there are still many people around the world that still do not have the rights that many of us do. So I feel like there are still many works to be done because human rights shouldn't be a privilege; it should be a responsibility that we all have.
To get equal rights unless we work together, and I'm ready to stand beside each and every one of you to get those equal rights.
And our next award is for a woman who will enter the legal arena to protect human rights. Please enjoy the video of 2017 Rising Advocate Award winner, Miss Madison White.
For some reason, people continually perpetuate evil. And we continually try to put other people down in order to make ourselves feel more secure or more superior. And working towards human rights is a way to try and counterbalance that natural kind of evil that we see within people. And I think that starting to advocate for people and starting to bring people to a level playing field rather than put them down is really important in order to alleviate some of that evil that we see in the world. Ignorance is one of the worst things that we as people face. Because left to our own devices, we act in ways that are absolutely preposterous. And I think it's important that people know the Universal Declaration of Human Rights so that they recognize how they should be behaving toward other people. And whenever they see something that's wrong, they don't just have that gut instinct of like, wait, that's wrong, but there's something quantifiable that tells them, no, this is wrong, and we have to stand up against this type of behavior. No matter where you are at, you can take steps that have a much broader impact than the exact location that you're in. I think Tennessee, especially as a southern state, is incredibly far-reaching, if nothing else, because of the music industry that's placed here. And so if we as a state begin standing up for human rights, we have some very important people in this state who can have a national platform to spread that same purpose and to spread that same message. I put a lot of value on education. So for me, I'm going to continue my education. I want to get my law degree, and I want to use that degree and the knowledge that learning law gives you to advocate for people who don't have that same skill set. And I want to be able to stand up for people who maybe just aren't in the position to stand up for themselves. I want to be able to help other people learn how to stand up for themselves and for other people as well. And I really want to be able to put myself in a position where I have the knowledge to help properly rather than just the desire to help. I have a way to implement that help. One of the biggest reasons that we should all be pursuing human rights is that we have to stand up for each other if we want the world to function at all. We see the chaos that's brought on whenever human rights are violated. We see the emotional toll that it takes globally. And in order for our world to function in an effective way, we have to help each other. And we have to stand up for each other. And if you are put in a position where you have the capability to help, I think you also have the obligation to help.
This year, we saw the loss of 2 leaders who spent their time and lives assisting others less fortunate. We are honored to present this special tribute.
I had the great benefit of being hired onto the commission when Frank was serving as the chair of the Metro Human Relations Commission.
He was a community leader. He was a civil rights leader. He was a great friend.
He was a big, soft, southern teddy bear with a big, giant heart called Everybody Darlin'.
One of the things we've said time and time again in the last 3 months is Frank loved. He loved you no matter who you were, no matter how you were. He loved you as you were.
If you never met Frank, one of the first things you would notice is his genuine personality, about paying attention to you and wanting to know about you and making that connection. He had a gift for that, and he made everybody feel welcome and appreciated and felt like they were part of the team. You know, it was he had a very special gift for that.
Had this thing that I think people would often underestimate, and it was this deep strength. I mean, really, like, he would never come off as a tough guy, but he wasn't afraid of a challenge. He wasn't afraid to tell the truth, even when telling the truth was hard.
He was an activist of the underdog. He wanted to make sure everybody was taken care of. Everybody. He didn't care who. He just wanted to make sure everybody knew they were loved, and he wanted to make sure that everybody knew that they had a person, and that person could be him.
Frank advocated for people, for human beings, and he advocated most strongly for people who might not otherwise have a voice.
He loved his community. This is his home place. This is where he was born, where he was raised, and where he came back to. And he wanted everyone to know what a treasure we had in Donaldson, what a secret we were. And obviously the secret's out now. Everybody wants to be part of us.
He was able to bring people together who might not otherwise work together. He could get people to see the benefit of joint action or doing a project together, and he made it fun.
The farmers market was something that came out of a discussion on Hip Donaldson Group.
We hadn't been in Hip Donaldson maybe a year, and we asked the people, what do you want? What do you want in Donaldson? Farmers market was the resounding thing they wanted. So instead of saying, man, I wish somebody would build us a market, Frank said, hey, how do we do a market? And so we figured it out. Between the farmers market, between bringing businesses to Donaldson, getting facades built on some of our older businesses, going to the older businesses and say, we want you to go with us, grow with us, come with us. With Metro Police Charities, he was a driving force behind that, with getting Hip Donaldson on board with that. And every year we donate thousands of dollars to that, to our underserved in our community.
Frank codified those ideas, got the meeting together, got the right people together, put the team together, and made it happen. And it's been just one of the most successful things I think ever in Donaldson.
Arguably, Frank revitalized Donaldson. He was one of the three that started Hip Donaldson, along with Andrew Bradley and Jeff Syracuse. But Frank was the one who stood behind it and put thousands upon thousands upon thousands of hours of work into it.
To take an idea and then conceptualize it, visualize it, and implement it, that was a huge strength of Frank's.
Frank was really great at bringing people together.
We had a young man named Donnie, and if you lived in Donaldson, you knew who Donnie was. Donnie was developmentally disabled.
When you're kicked down, you would want Frank to help you get back up.
Donnie walked our streets and collected aluminum cans from the streets, from the gas stations, from the businesses. He would walk in and say, I'm here for your cans. And he would take those cans, and everybody saved them. And he would take them home, and he would take them to the recycling center, and that was how he contributed to his family. That was his job.
He would laugh with you. He might even laugh at you. But he was always going to be the one to give you a hand.
Frank took him so many places. Donnie would go through about a pair of good walking shoes every 30 days. So Frank would put him in the car, and they'd go to Kohl's, and they would go shopping.
And I think he would just be so happy to know of what he was able to accomplish, how he was able to inspire people to give back. And his memory will always be such that it inspires people to want to serve and to give back. And I think that will always be there.
Donnie drew ill with congestive heart failure, and the community rallied around him, but there's nothing that we could do. And Frank stood beside him stood beside him that whole time. Up until Donnie passed. And told him, you're gonna be fine. We know what's on the other side. You're gonna be fine. And anytime Donnie would be scared, Frank would say, no, don't be silly. There's nothing to be scared of. We got you. We're here. Your family is here. Two different worlds. Two different worlds. And Frank loved Donnie. I don't know if you'd say it was like a brother. Was it like a child? More importantly, it was like a friend.
I know that the community that he built in Donaldson was incredibly important to him.
When Andrew, Frank, and I were first starting to talk about what's next for Hip Donaldson, it was, we had about, gosh, at that point, maybe about 1,000 people on the page when the three of us started meeting and talking about, well, this is a Facebook page, but it's more special than just a social media page. It's something that brings people together. And we would always talk about, it needs to stay that way. It needs to stay something that's easy and simple, and we don't want much administration to it, right? And here we are, what, gosh, it's been 7 years now, I guess, when it first started. And we would always look back on that conversation where we said, well, it just needs to be something simple. But when we really got into it, that was something that needed administration. It needed 501c3. It needed, all of that to really, make it happen. And we would always look back on that and say, what were we thinking? We really needed to be something much more, but that was always something funny.
Frank had some Frank phrases that he liked to say. One of them was, love you more than my luggage, which basically meant kind of kiss my butt. Anytime he had done something that he knew you were going to be sassy about, he would end it with, love you more than my luggage, sweets. And it was like, Usually with me, it was after he sent me a picture of a bird. He knew my fear of birds, so he would send some bird attacking a human and then follow it up with, love you more than my luggage.
I remember when we were first getting going with having events with Hip Donaldson, and Frank and I had never really done this before. At 50 Forward, we had food trucks, and we had a couple speakers and whatnot, and we presented the first time when we raised money through t-shirt sales, and we were able to give some of that money back to 50 Forward. There's a picture of us both looking like, which way did we go? Like, I can't believe this is happening.
He would want you to do something. He doesn't want you to sit in your chair and think, oh, the injustice of it all. He wants you to be a fixer. He wants you to see the problem and then go on. He wants you to go forth, go do. Frank was a doer, and that's what he would want.
He was a fierce supporter of the Commission's work and our mission.
He would want to be remembered as the champion of the underdog and the underserved.
Frank would want to be remembered for what we were able to accomplish on behalf of the community.
We have a food pantry at Two Rivers Middle Prep that serves our elementary schools for our underserved children. In his honor, he saw a need. And instead of saying, man, I wish they could do something about that, he said, hey, let's do something about that. Here's how I'm going to start. And everybody jumped on board. And now we've got it's a big pantry. And Two Rivers serves all of our elementary schools.
I wanted to tell Frank thank you. He held my hand when I went through some hard times, both personally and professionally, and it was a real comfort. He was really genuine in his comfort. So I just want to say thank you.
Because of what he did, he sets the bar for service to community.
Please make welcome a 2016 winner of the Rising Advocate Award, Mr. Justin Jones.
All right. Waiting for the other panelists, but good evening, everyone. My name is Justin Jones. I'm just honored to be here for this Human Rights Day and here with other students, because we know that where our political leaders seem to have dropped the ball, we see a new generation picking up the torch and carrying on the struggle, human and civil rights. And so today's panel is going to focus specifically on Article 19, which is the right to free expression. And as I was preparing for this panel, I read a quote this morning that I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, and it's that human rights and art are similar in this regard, that you have to draw a line somewhere. And we know that this year we've had to draw many lines in terms of human rights, and so just want to give you guys a welcome and thank you for being here, and thank you for the work you do. I just want to, we have 15 minutes on to jump into the questions so we can get as much out of what you guys have to offer us. And so the first question is for my brother Trey, who works with art. In what ways do you think art has been influential in terms of giving expression to or even being symbols of the resistance movements that we have seen throughout this past year in particular?
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, sorry. Thank you everyone for being here, and thank you for having me. I also want to recognize really quick, if I can, Mohammed Hassan, who's on the Metro Arts Commission. He pretty much directs a lot of what we do, so I wanted to recognize him for his work. But for art, yeah.
And the 2016 Rising Human fellow 2016 awardees, so we got to shout them out.
Yeah, absolutely. But to answer your question, I think it's at so many different levels. I mean, it starts in classrooms when kids get assignments and they are asked to create, and they create with something with whatever they're seeing or feeling, or that just kind of comes out on whatever it is that they put their art into. And then you develop as an artist and you become a prominent local artist. You have the guys in North Art Collective. You've probably seen a lot of their murals all over town, and they're responding to local crises like affordable housing and things that impact us here locally. And then at a national scale, you've got artists like Ai Weiwei, he just did the Good Neighbors Make Good Fence, or Good Neighbors, Good Fences. I forget the exact title, but it's a public art installation in New York that kind of talks about the global migration crisis. So it's kind of at all levels. I mean, everywhere you look, there's expression through art, people resisting and kind of giving their opinions and feelings, and sharing that and allowing other people to feel those things as well. So I think there's so many different ways that it can be expressed.
Awesome. And I know you're getting into the legal field. I don't know if you want to chime in as ways that you've seen art give expression or even become a symbol of these resistance movements we're seeing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been a huge aspect of 2017. A lot of art has been made specifically in protest movements. There have been banners made that are made by people that may not feel safe at protest movements, at actions that are basically putting your body on the line to stand up for your rights. Yeah. That can be extremely nerve-wracking. So to be able to make art in regards to those feelings, like you said, is so important. And being able to showcase that art without having to put your body on the line is a really important aspect of standing up for human rights as well. And also, I wanted to make reference to the flag that was made by an artist to basically unify the people that are having to migrate, refugees that feel as if they don't have a home anymore, that there was a flag made by someone named Yara Saeed, I think. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but that really stood out to me when I was looking back on the year. So, yeah.
How about you, Krishna?
I think art is an important way to express yourself because sometimes words aren't enough, and I feel like rising artists, they really do a good job of showing us what our local problems or international problems are in a way or form that you would never have depicted in. So I think it's important to see a different creative side of what we're trying to express but we can't express in words.
Definitely. I know we talked a lot about visual arts, but also just want to lift up the vocal arts as well. I don't think you can have a protest without music. I don't think you can have a demonstration without those songs of our ancestors, like Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Around, or, you know, This Little Light of Mine. And so we have the visual arts and these musical arts that give life, I guess, to these movements. Okay, next question. We have millennials here. I think it's the best generation because I'm a part of that generation. But what role, and this is for anyone, but I guess we'll just, since I started with Trey, I'll start with Camilla, who is with the United Nations Association. What role do you see millennials assuming as leaders and organizers of these contemporary human rights struggles? And what are some of the most important lessons that you think young human rights activists have to offer some of our elders, or, you know, our fellow activists who might be here today?
Cool. The first thing I want to say is doing this work is not always safe. So if you are a person who is born into a family that has a comfortable position, not even if you have a lot of money, but if you have enough money to function and you feel safe as a person in your own country, you are the person that needs to stand up for those that do not feel safe, especially when it comes to any form of protest in physical form. In general, though, in activist movements, you're not always safe. There is misogyny, there is racism within these movements, and it's not always as violent or as aggressive as other things can be that are maybe not within movements. However, it still exists, so you have to keep those things in mind. There are activists in history that we have to look back on. That's one of the lessons, is to look back on what people have had to do and what people have been through in history, and how that informs what you are doing, the work that you're doing. And it's important to stand behind people and ask people who have been subjugated and have been hurt and do need your help, what do I do, instead of here is what I'm going to do for you. I think that's really important. And find your niche. Where is it that you fit? Are you good at making art? Are you better at making art? Do you like to participate in law? Do you want to make legislation? There are so many different ways that you can help, but you need to find what it is that you can do with efficacy and with passion.
Yeah. Krishna?
I think being a millennial is a great advantage for advocates and advocacy as a whole. We've made the world a much smaller place with all the media and all the access we have to all this information, and I feel like it's much easier, and I feel like we should definitely be using that as an advantage to help the people that have been subjugated to these things. And I feel like, you know, today's problems and yesterday's solutions don't really match, and I feel like today's millennials are coming up with more creative ways, and I feel like open lines of communication are really helping, and I feel like that's the way to move forward. You know, you want to make awareness between people that you know, people that other people know, and I feel like we just need a cascade of events where you just raise awareness, and I feel like through that, people will advocate for themselves and for others.
Can I add something onto that question, just what you said? I guess something that's unique in our generation is social media. And so for Trey, in addition to that question, do you think that social media has been a benefit, or has it been something that has kind of giving people an easy out in terms of human rights activism?
Well, yeah, definitely. I think, I guess Camilla said we have a niche that we kind of need to pick out, and I think social media is probably our generation's biggest thing, which she explained. I guess through social media, everything is accessible like that. If something happens, everyone knows about it instantly. So in a way, that's a positive, that you can stay informed about these things. But also, it's a space for agitation. I mean, you get sidetracked and you get distracted. So I think something that we have especially to learn from the generations before us is that they kind of had to fight the fight in a different way, and it was kind of more physical, I guess, per se, and more boots on the ground, I guess. So just kind of understanding that you still have to go out and make actual actions happen instead of, you know, just tweeting about it. And tweeting about stuff is good, but at the end of the day, you might tweet something really powerful 1 minute and then tweet some music video the next minute. So it's kind of making sure that you use social media, but staying focused on figuring out action as well, I would say.
I guess we're not the only ones using Twitter and social media. So building off the spirit of that question, what do you think are the biggest threats to human rights in our generation? We've seen chattel slavery reemerge in Libya. We've seen women coming out and saying that they've had their rights violated. We've seen masses of people in the streets saying that why are we a nation that wants to build walls instead of building bridges? And so with all these crises, it seems like we've been on edge every morning. I don't know about you when we wake up. And so what do you personally see as the biggest threats to human rights in this nation? What is the zeitgeist, the spirit of the times telling you that we have to, fight in particular?
I feel like for today, or for the times that we are in now, ignorance and silence are the two biggest threats that we work with. A lot of people don't know what they're dealing with for the immigration crisis and the DACA crisis. People are afraid because they don't know what's going on. And that's why they just choose to ignore it rather than be in that uncomfortable situation about talking about it or learning more about it. And I feel like there's others that can have a voice but are scared because, they're scared of the advocacy world. They're worried of how they're going to be perceived by the people or around them or their family because maybe their family has a different take on it. So I feel like ignorance and silence, and I feel like these are the two biggest problems that we have today, and if we can overcome that slowly but surely, then I feel like we can move in the right direction.
Definitely. Ignorance and silence. How about you, Trey?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd also just kind of say misinformation and being uninformed about things. There's a lot of stuff that we're thinking about here in the U.S. on a daily basis, and that is thrown into our face every day. Every time you go on a news site, it's literally a completely new headline of breaking news. And we kind of forget, and not even forget, but we never hear about kind of some of the things going on outside of our small, or not small network, but outside of our nation, and kind of being misinformed about some of the stuff that is going on and not really understanding. And it's kind of hard to find the accurate information at times. So I think that's the thread, is that there's so much, and with social media and with information being so freely distributed, it's hard to make sure that you're getting the information that's correct. And when you need to make change, you want to make sure that you're kind of changing the right things. But I think so.
I think one of the biggest things is corruption within agencies, especially in first world countries. When you see agencies that are supposed to be standing up for our human rights, basically doing the opposite of what those human rights are, that reverberates around the world, around the globe, especially with social media. And then the second thing is inaction, like you said, Krishna. It's really hard sometimes, I think very traumatic, especially if you grow up in the U.S. or you grow up in another first world country and you're seeing these human rights being violated in front of you over and over and over again. It can really take a toll on you mentally, and if you don't have the money or the access to help yourself, to heal yourself, it can lead to inaction, and there are other reasons for that. Ignorance is one of them. So I would agree with you on that as well.
I think access. She said access. I think that's an important word as well. Just access to, especially when you're talking about expression, just access to be able to express yourself is something some people don't get. So that's a very good point.
All right, we're coming to a close here, and so for this last question, I just was thinking a lot about things my elders told me growing up, and they told me that freedom, human rights, justice are never really won. You have to fight and struggle for them in each generation. And so, in our generation, for those who are gathered here today, what is some hope you can offer? What is your hope for the movement ahead? What are some ways that they can get involved with what you're doing? And what are some ways that you see hope rising in the streets as a form of resistance and breathing life into these movements that we don't have a choice but to get involved in today?
I guess I'll go first. I would say, I think what gives me hope is the opportunities that I have right now, and knowing that people before me didn't have those opportunities, and the opportunities that my parents had, knowing that people before them didn't have opportunities. So I think we just have to keep moving forward. I mean, I know that's hard to say on a daily basis when there's so much that seems to be going backwards, but we have to find a way to kind of leave our next generation with something that's better and something where they have more opportunity than we have right now. So that's what personally gives me hope for this generation.
I think we need to learn from our previous generations, like Trey said. Like, our problems are different and they're growing in different ways, but if we learn from the past generations, then we can come up with different ideas to work on today's problems. And I feel like them teaching us what they've done in the past, or like how they can pass down their wisdom to us, is one way of like overcoming our problems and hope today. And our like the rising advocates that we have here today, I feel like them continuing their work and inspiring many more other people in the community, and like their work actually having significant impact is what gives hope to like others and me myself. So I feel like that's important.
Something that I say to kids that are interested in joining UNA at Belmont is we want to work on these issues locally, but we want to inspire people globally. And this is something that Gen UN is into, and I did not come up with this idea, but I really, really like it because there are so many beautiful, wonderful, efficient grassroots organizations in Nashville that are working to create more bus access, to create more public housing, and they're working for it for themselves. They are citizens, and it's beautiful. And there are also a lot of local garden movements, and that's what I do with UNA at Belmont. I think that those movements, those local movements, are really important because it's close to you. You have access to it. You can approach this. It's not something up in the air. It's not a giant organization. But you can use the platform of social media to say to people that are nowhere near close to you, I'm doing this at home. You can do this in your home. And you can spread it around. So.
Well, you guys are amazing. I hope somebody here found a little bit of hope. Remembering that, as Dr. Cornell West said, hope is the spiritual armor we put on for righteous battles, and we have a lot of battles in family. So please commend these millennials up here. Thank you guys for your wisdom.
Thanks.
Thank you for all being here today. And I know that my husband would be glad as well. We live in a world that is struggling with the triple evil of racism, war, and poverty. It's time that we do something about this now.
I think that the attitude of the police and the press against my husband, the accusations against him were downright false and sometimes disrespectful. I didn't do it because I wanted to. I did it because I had to.
Betty?
Coretta, I've been watching you on TV lately. I mean, admiring you really. I mean, people loved you and your husband.
Now listen, your husband did something important too. He taught us that the world could be beautiful and strong.
But you know, honey, sometimes they don't want us to know the truth. I mean, so much was taken away from us and our kids.
Now listen, Betty. Listen, they may have killed our husbands, but they did not kill their ideals.
I didn't do it because I wanted to. I did it because I had to.
Leaders,
activists,
others,
and minorities.
These are the things that come to mind when we think of Betty Shabazz and Coretta Scott King.
True leaders who are often overshadowed by the work of their husbands.
We all know Betty Shabazz and Coretta Scott King as the wives of two of the most influential civil rights activists in history. But do we know them for what they did, or for the husbands that they were connected to?
More importantly, we will never know what Betty and Coretta could have been because they were forced to give up their dreams to take on their husbands' legacies.
So, with the poetry Tilted Crown by Monique Constance,
and scenes from the movies Malcolm X and Betty and Coretta, a program.
Because if these two women could have stood on their own 2 feet, is it possible that they could have dreamed a better dream. Now you see, I was born on April 27, 1957 in Alabama.
All right now.
And I liked to play the violin, and Lord, I could sing. You know, I had dreams, goals. But you know, it's crazy how your life can change. You can end up in a completely different place that you never thought you'd be. You see, that's what happened to me. That's what happened when I met Mark.
Well, honey, I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. I was the only child of my adopted parents, and of course it was a sheltered upbringing. And when it came time, I went to school and got my nursing degree. You know, I was an ambitious young woman. Since I was a little girl, I always wanted to be a leader and change lives. But honey, it was a time in New York when I went to hear a young Muslim minister speak. That minister was Malcolm X.
See, you don't know me for my musical achievements, but you know me for standing next to the man that was a pastor, a minister, and a civil rights genius. You know, I stood by that man and we marched and protested. And when called on, I stood the test of times.
Hello?
Hello, Betty?
Yes?
Oh, yes, it's Malcolm.
Hey, baby.
Listen, will you marry me?
Yes.
I don't think you heard what I said, woman.
Now, did you hear my answer?
Man, I love you, baby.
I love you too, Mom.
A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Hard to get out of concrete. He can't sleep at night. Visions of him. Sees himself in a morgue, white sheets, so every day he prepares for battle. Says he wants to put a baby in me, but he don't think he'll last long where he's from. Cause there's a war in these streets, you know. They're really getting along, aren't they?
Ain't that something? Now, I heard you're planning to speak to Congress about Martin's holiday.
Yeah, but you know them folks down there still shooting it down the same way they did 18 years ago when I introduced it to
them. You know they don't want to get at you no black man.
Sure.
It's like Malcolm said, sitting at the table don't make you no dinner. It's what you eat on your plate, honey.
Well, I sure hope he was wrong about that one. Wait, I didn't upset you, did I?
No, honey, it's my youngest. She's having nightmares again. I think out of all my children, she was the one that was affected by Malcolm's death the most.
That's something I can understand. You know, I could give you the number to the doctor I used for my daughter when Martin was little.
Honey, I don't think it'll help. You know, Coretta, when Malcolm died, I was lost. But when Martin died, honey, I watched you. How you went and marched right there in Memphis at the place where he was shot dead, with the little ones, right by your side. I was amazed. It's definitely not a decision I could have made.
Now you listen. That was something I had to do. I didn't have a choice. I didn't do it because I wanted to. I did it because I had to. Have you ever tried to love a man that thinks that death is chasing him? Have him weep between your breasts and ask you to pray for him? I have, and it seems as though the darkest nights and the sweetest dawn is right where we will rise from the ashes, and we sit here and break our bones for you. We beat our chests in grief and weep for you.
When my husband, Malcolm X, was brutally shot down at the Ottoman Ballroom in Manhattan, I was still in my 20s, and the mother of 4 little girls and 2 more on the way.
They took Martin from my side. You know, I watched as the gunshots rang out and missed his chest. And I knew that he would forever be gone away from me.
They killed Malcolm. You know, when my husband was suddenly taken away from me, I felt as though I had lost a part of myself.
You know, they took him away from me. The laughter of my life, the father of my children, the barrier of my strife, the man God put on this earth to defend us all.
And you know, I was alone. And my life had changed forever, honey. Not only did I have to take care of my family, but I had to keep his dream alive. Honey, I didn't do it because I wanted to. I did it because I had to. It was now my responsibility to make sure the world knew his dream.
To our dearest mothers, on behalf of our fathers, Brown Sugar,
Thank you for not just your strength, but for your undying tenacity.
you are the epitome of motherhood and womanhood. And though you may not see it, the seed has been planted.
And your love on our undying fathers, though always present spiritually.
You have won. So don't work too hard. You don't have to stay so busy.
We will be here, always loving you.
Forever yours, your children.
Thank you.
A round of applause to TSU students Jasmine Bolden and Zaria Hubbard. Our next award is for a man dedicated to end human trafficking. Please enjoy the video of 2017 Outstanding Service Award winner, Mr. Jerry Redman.
I recognized early on in my life that there was this strong sense of equity, fairness, even before I knew what the word justice means. I couldn't stand seeing people taken advantage of, and I couldn't stand seeing people being left out and left behind. And quite frankly, I recognized as I was growing up and even on into my early adulthood, I was fairly privileged. And I didn't get left out, left behind. That it was just something that was innate in me. I noticed those who were. If someone sees a problem, then what makes that a problem to you? So put some scale to it, put some language to it. But then also, if you identify that there's a problem of homelessness in your community, for instance, what's going on in your community around the issue of homelessness? And depending on where your community is, I would dare say at least something is going on. There is an agency or some agencies devoted to that. Join them in their work. We have all the wheels invented. We don't need any more, but we need more hands. We need more minds. We need more resources, financially and otherwise. There's plenty of agencies already in place. We just need more people. Everybody's part of the solution, no matter what we're talking about. Poverty, homelessness, human trafficking. Everybody has some kind of role they can play in those issues. And so we all have to make sure that we know what the issues are, what the causes are, and how do I, as a citizen, contribute to ensuring that at some point we're not having to deal with those issues. Plus, you have to believe you can change the world. If you don't believe that, then you don't believe anything. I would argue that most folks don't know that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights exists in the first place. And so, as is the case with everything, awareness and education is what begins everything. And you can measure how much impact you make in a community in terms of touching them with the message about why the Declaration of Human Rights exists, what makes them up, and also what impact does it have on me as a citizen, not just from a responsibility standpoint, but how do I benefit from this? And although the work that I do and the work that so many others do is about trying to help benefit others, let's face it, if there's not some individual benefit attached to it, we can become exhausted over time in the work. Awareness and education about anything is not really sexy, but it's absolutely necessary. It's the starting point for anything that needs to be done. This is a great honor and privilege. I really appreciate it. I'm humbled. There's a team that works with me every day to do what we do. So I know it's an old cliche and whatnot, but I'm accepting this on behalf of them and not just myself, but I'm very appreciative.
Our next award is for a voice for women, Muslims, immigrants, and all residents of Tennessee. Please enjoy the video of 2017 Outstanding Service Award winner, Ms. Zulfa Swara.
It's a couple of things. I think the first one is my religion, is my faith. There's a verse in the Quran that tells us that we should stand up for justice, even if it's against ourselves. And so that's part how we started. And then we also have in the tradition what the Prophet did whenever there's oppression or something like that. And so the biggest reason is my faith, because it's a form of worship for me. It's a way to serve the Lord by serving others. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is my parents. I grew up, especially my dad, seeing him do for others all the time. And it's just something that I grew up with. And I think as I grow older, I've also come to find out that the more you do for others, the more you're doing for yourself. Because every time you think you're helping somebody, indirectly it's also helping you too. And that feeling of knowing that you've actually been able to help somebody, I think is a very good feeling. The first part to changing the world is changing ourselves. I think it starts with the individual. I think when you believe that doing right is the right thing to do, and you do it yourself, oftentimes people emulate what they see you do, not necessarily what you say, but what you do. So don't think about others, just do it. And I think the more each person starts with their own rather than looking at what other people do, I think it will be a better place. And I think once we do that individually, then we come together collectively. Okay, we need to understand that our issues are very similar. We may have differences, but at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And so when we look at what brings us together, rather than what divides us, I think that's another thing that would help us. Thirdly, I also think that people have to understand, at least for me, that we're more than one issue. You know, I'm a Muslim, I'm black, I'm a woman, so I go everywhere because when they're talking about blacks, it impacts me. When you're talking about Muslim, it impacts me. Talking about immigrants, it impacts me. I'm a woman, it impacts me. When you understand that, you know, taking away somebody's right is taking away their humanity, I think that's the best way to put it. You know, you're undermining that person, you're saying that person is less than a person. And I think that's the worst thing you can do to anybody. And so knowing that those rights exist, knowing and honoring those rights, and knowing that, because think about it, you don't want somebody to infringe on your rights. And oftentimes that's what happens. You know, people want to state their own rights, people want to claim their own rights, but they don't think that others have the right to do so. And so knowing that what applies to you applies to everybody else, and knowing that it's been written so many years ago, I think that's the best part about it, knowing that it's what makes us us. It's what makes us this country great, putting those practices in action. So the more people know that, look, you have this freedom to do something, so does the other person. You can say what you want to say, but they can say what they want to say too. That is the law of the land. Everybody knowing that, I think, will allow us to give each other the space. We don't have to agree, but at least let everybody have their say, and then we can move on. We all have a way to contribute. There's more than one way to do something. So oftentimes people think that it's only the people that speak that can affect change. No, you can write about it. Even just talking to your children, you're doing something about it. So start at your own comfort level. Do the bits that you can do, and every little bit adds up. And so that would be my suggestion. And then once you've mastered a little bit, then you go to the next step. Then you start from your house to your local, to your state, to national, to the world. But I think not doing anything at all is the worst thing. But whatever it is that you can do it.
We are honored this year to recognize the first African American woman to enter the Tennessee Senate. Please enjoy the video of 2017 Lifetime Achievement Award winner, Miss Thelma Harper.
I think part of it is we know that people are suffering, and whatever, it's our responsibility to try to help people, and that's what we do. That's what we enjoy. This is a wonderful opportunity just to think about, you've given us an opportunity to think of what's going on in the world. Then we're looking at what's right here in the United States, and then we look at what's going on right here in Tennessee, and particularly here in Nashville. We can make a difference. If you know something is wrong, change it. If it's better, make it better and do more. But I think part of it is you got to know what's going on. It's difficult if we can't tell anybody else if we don't realize what's going on. So that what it means is we've got to be around. Right through here in Nashville and in Tennessee, we've got to determine exactly what's going on, and we can change things. We can really make a difference in this world, but we can make a difference right here in Nashville. When somebody honors you, you naturally, you wonder why. And for me, this is awesome. I have to tell you, I've got to tell my children, and I've got to tell the community. It's awesome that you all would honor me. I'm grateful. Thank you so very, very much.
And our final award of the evening goes to a man who left military service to embark upon serving peace for mankind. Please enjoy the video of 2017 Lifetime Achievement Award winner, Mr. Joey King.
It just feels good to help other people, I think. I kind of got into it after I got out of the Army about 30 years ago, just in various ways. And so, kind of the more you did, the more you feel better. It takes one step at a time. I think converting people to make change, as Gandhi said, become the change you want to see in the world. I think if you do it one at a time, one day at a time, one person at a time, I think that's a good way to create real change. Well, I think the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a very important document. I would consider it more important than the Bill of Rights, because it is a treaty obligation, and I think we could probably start teaching it in schools, and it would be a lot better for the children to know it. And once the children knew it, it would generally pass on up to the older generations. Join a group that will make a difference. But I think you have to really get involved in something that is important to you, or you'll get burned out. You see a lot of activists that they get burned out on things because I think they get into something that maybe they half like or really don't feel passionate about. And if you don't feel passionate about what you're trying to make change in, you'll never be successful. Just would hope that we're going to have peace someday all around the world.
How about this for an evening? Let's give a round of applause to our awardees again. And thank you for the rising voices that we had. We normally have programs with people from a variety of disciplines. This year, they're all millennials, but the voices are as loud as anyone we've ever heard in a very long time. This has been a wonderful evening. To my friend, Senator Harper, it is well deserved. To you, it is well deserved. It's about veterans and what you do, Joey. And to all of you who are rising and or, where's Jerry? And Jerry's been on the case for a while. He's just rebranded. He is now Second Life Tennessee. And he's rebranded a couple of times. And we need that happening by all of you, because every once in a while, if we don't rebrand, if we don't look out and see what needs to be done, then shame on us. We cannot sit back and wait for someone else. To my friend Justin, who I met about 4 years ago as a freshman at Fisk, president of the Anti-Defamation League with the late George Barrett. I said something that night to George. I said, this is a young man on the go. I just didn't know he was just going to end up in jail with a picture last year. But he ended up in jail because of something he believed in, because of his willingness to fight, to stand up and say, no more. We need voices like Justin's. We need voices like those of us who've been around, like Avi, who continues to be in the fight. Every voice counts. Every voice matters, because every life matters. This is the charge. Stand up, stand up, stand up. It's our human rights. If we don't stand for it, who will? I'm going to bring Brian up to give us a prayer to lead us out this evening.
Let's pray. Today we have been blessed. We're in a room full of activists, advocates, and achievers. It's been a time to connect and reconnect, to refresh, restore, and renew. I pray that we have learned something today from each other and gained the courage and the adventureness to go forth and find out what's going on so we can make a change. I pray for peace. I pray for love for humanity. And I pray that we will live to see human rights be made a fact and not an idealistic dream. In your name we pray. Amen. Thank you all for coming. Go in peace.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.